minutes.
Voilà.
Ça y est de se péter dans 2 minutes quoi, t'as pété déjà?
J'ai répété
Non,
en 2 minutes.
Parce que la bouffe, c'était dans le bâtiment où on était nous.
C'est qui le cul qui a fait ça?
Et tu sais dire où c'est? Ou t'as juste...
Non, en fait,
t'as tout débranché tout?
Tu débranches le câble, tu débranches
et puis
le morceau de
c'est
réseau,
ça,
et puis quand ça fonctionne, bah, c'est dans le bout de réseau que tu as débranché que...
Puis tu redébranches à un bout du bout. Et alors, c'est vrai.
Et quoi, tu sais dire si c'est en dessous ou au-dessus ou
Non, mais c'est dire que c'est de là-bas, c'est déjà pas mal.
Du coup, on aura coupé.
Bah, toujours.
c'est toujours bon?
Ouais. Vérifie que c'est toujours bon, s'il te plaît.
You can go.
Ah, mais je
So
reste
I don't know if I should restart or we can...
If
Well,
it's
restart,
if we restart just for 2 minutes, that's
Can you copy all the questions remaining? Because I have
Oh.
to put the chat and...
wait a minute.
Or ask again, hein.
No, I want to keep the questions.
Ask me the questions.
Can you check YouTube if the stream is continuing or not? Because I want to test. Maybe I don't have to restart it.
Ah, you don't have your laptop?
Wait a minute. If I can... okay.
C'est-à-dire si on peut regarder sur le téléphone s'il y a encore les...
In this viewers... you will have to re-ask. And I bought the present. Goodbye, my developer. Okay, now you can... yeah, sorry. So back again, we had a small issue with our internet connection. I hope you're still there. So I took note of some of the questions, but I may not have all of them. So if you maybe could re-ask the last questions you had. I know there was a question, I was again on the groups notion, on the security in the groups of our users. So don't hesitate to re-ask. Oh no, I can see it back. That's good, that's okay. So, as you know, I was installing the CRM module. Let's see if it worked, or if I have to install it because I lost connection. Now it's installed, and I told you we are going to create a new form for our website. So here, I can edit this. I can go here in my form builder, and I told you the actions that we have here will depend on the modules that are installed. And just before, if you remember, we had just 3 items. We didn't have the create a lead here in this list. And so adding the CRM module allow me to have the create a lead. And if I click on create a lead, I can then redirect to a thank you page. I will just say maybe it's I think it's contact us. Let's try it this way, and we'll see if it works. And so in fact here, you have many different fields. You have all the fields on the leads, and you can choose which fields you want to add. I can click here on add a custom field or add a model field. Add a model field means you can add a field in this form that already exists on your model, the model being the business object that we have. So if I have a look at my sales and I have a look at the CRM object that we have here, we have in the pipeline, we have the leads and the opportunities. Here I maybe have to add the lead stage. It will be easier to manage. Just clicking on the save button. And if I go back here on the sales side, we have leads. And if I create a new lead, lead backend, you can see that here we have lots of fields. And in fact, I can be reusing those fields and say, let's say, for example, I can use the email from, and I can ask, okay, leave your email. And I can go here, which is a field email. The technical name is email from, as you can see here. If I hover this field, but the name, the label is email, and so I just have to select email here, and I could be maybe creating a new field here about some nodes, okay. And of course, you can say something like this. I'm just keeping this really simple, but you get the idea. And so if I save this way, you see that here I'm making this field mandatory, and the two other ones are not mandatory. I can save it that way. And from there, I created a new form, but of course I can give more. I can maybe embed this in a nice page with some title here, and then some information there. Of course, it's not. You can add more than just a form. You have more than that. Let's put some text information, maybe some image and the text here. So that's it. You can save it that way, and you know that you can change, of course, the text and change the images and things like that. And so now I have my page that is designed. I can create here my front end lead email. Let's say it's. Or I can even use my fake email for this video. That's it. I click on send. You see here it redirected to the page contact us, but it's not a real page in fact, so I should have used this one. Yeah, it's contact us just with without the dash, so that's why I didn't find it first. I could be changing that for the next ones. I guess it's here. I can change this by changing form parameters, and instead putting this that way, I can save it back. Now that it will be redirecting to the correct page once I will be saving my my opportunity. And if I have a look at my leads, I can save my lead backend. And if I go back on my lead, you can see that here I have my front-end lead that has been created. So just to mention again why I was doing this, it's because we were discussing about creating the form online. And there was a question, let me go back to who asked this. Really good question. It was Jan van Erp that asked, I really want to have more possibilities in creating forms in the e-commerce module. So this is one way. You can create forms just by drag and dropping and knowing a bit all the fields that you have on your different objects. So that's one possibility. And there is another one, of course, which is the way we do it for the modules that are maybe a bit more complex. Let's show maybe one of the most complex forms for websites. Let's imagine I'm buying something. Here I'm adding something in my cart, and then we have in the checkout here. Then you have that kind of form with, of course, some checks about the values of the fields. Let's say, for example, you are from a company. We will see that later. You have to enter a VAT number that is completely correct. We will check the value in the at least the structure of the VAT. You have the same for the email. We will check that you have at least a @ sign inside. We don't check the phone, but we could be doing that. But so you see that here we have some fields that are mandatory. We have lots of things that are generated when you enter the information that is here. And so this, just to say that this form, in fact, is already designed in Odoo in advance. So it's not something that we create from the form builder, but instead it's part of some views that are already existing in Odoo. And if I have a look at here, the views, we have something that is called the address management, I think. Yeah, and address management, here you have all the fields. So if I type zip, we can see, okay, how the zip fields are designed. If I type city, we see, yeah, it's zip and city, but if I type phone, we have the phone field. So this is really what we have there. So if you somehow want to create other forms with lots of logic and treatment of the information, something that it would be more complex than simply creating new records in Odoo, then this would be the way to do that, to embed your views in a module. But so there are two different approaches depending on what you want to do. I think that the form builder is really easy to use. You can do really a lot quite quickly, but if you need really a lot of logic, then maybe it would be maybe more useful to create that kind of form. Well, create your views, test it, go through a regular development, let's say, path instead of drag and dropping, because maybe this is not enough. I don't know. That's maybe if you want to elaborate on that, or if you have an example, we can discuss this and see what would be the best solution. But at least I gave you two, and now you have to see which one is the best. So if you allow me, I will just take a sip of coffee. And we are going to the next question. So this was one. I'm going back to the questions 20 minutes ago. Sorry for this interruption of connection. There was possibility creating forms. Yes, that's it. Odoo Enterprise, is it possible to customize the code by my developer? I told you yes, it is possible, but in other modules. So maybe I could elaborate a bit more on that. But as you know, we have some code here. If I have a look at Odoo 10, I need to reconnect maybe. Oops. If we have a look at Odoo, we have here the branch 10, which contains the code of Odoo 10, and we have lots of different folders here, but all the modules that we use are located, well, nearly all, let's say, are located here in the add-ons path. That's for the community version. Then you have another one with for the enterprise. Maybe, yeah. Where you have all the modules in the enterprise version. But if you need to create a new module, of course, don't go just here for changing a report and then change something in that file. No, you don't touch the default module, the standard module of Odoo. You have to create new modules, and you have some lessons online for that. It's not the topic of this conversation, of this functional live support. You can maybe ask a bit more this afternoon, as we will have a technical session. Otherwise, I think we will find some information online. If I have a look at Odoo documentation, we will find something like that that will tell you how you can do that. Maybe not for version 8, but for version 10. Yeah. And here, I think if I look for module, building a module, and there, whoops, yeah, you have the information you need. Let me go back here. There was here building a module, and here you have all the information on how you can do that. Okay, so the best way you can do that is learning by having a look at the documentation, and eventually learning by having a look at what already exists in Odoo. Yeah, I think it's quite straightforward to create a new module. So next, World Steel. I mean, I need to add manually this in the REST group. Yeah, I told you a bit more information. Yes. In this view, REST user groups, you have all the extra rights there. Field name, in group ID, group based on. I want to add this attribute in one of the groups, in groups per module. I will check the view just to see if I understand it better. So you say, in this view, REST users groups. Okay, let's have a look at that. REST users groups. That's the one you are talking about. Then you have in group, okay, extra rights, yes, groups based group no one. I want to add this attribute in one of the in groups per module. So you mean you would like to add this groups attribute to the other ones, like these ones? If you want to add this attribute in one of the in groups. Yeah, I guess that's your question, taking this and adding it there. But maybe your question is to do that from the module itself. If it's from the module itself, then you can have a look at, maybe we can have a look at this and look how it's done in the file. Oops. Yeah, that's maybe not the best place. Oh, I could maybe check here. This ID and see what's inside that view. Yeah, and then it is added by the groups. I cannot tell you that then. If that's the question, I think it's better to ask in the afternoon, because here it will take me quite some time to find the information, because here we will have to add some stuff that will generate those lines. I think that's your question, but again, I'm not sure. So don't hesitate to guide me through if I'm missing the points and the information you want to get. Prasun asked me when will be the technical live support. So here, speaking about the time, it's 10:20 in Belgium. The live support is starting in 2 hours and 10 minutes for the technical side. So it will be just at the beginning of the afternoon in Belgium. So make the computation yourself, but it's in a bit more than 2 hours. and it will last for 3 hours, I think, again. Then there was a question from Voitnaklim that asked, if I bought the Odoo Enterprise, is it possible to customize the code by my developer? Yes. Again, I think maybe it was copy-pasted. And then Michael von Heimitz says, Studio does seems grayed out on certain modules, product category form. I see it grayed out. Is it because of the company-dependent field? Let's look at that. This I cannot tell for sure. Let's install this Web Studio. And product category. It shouldn't be, I think, because it's something that you can edit. But let's have a look at that. I will try to change the same as you did. So on the sales side, then you have been, I guess, in the internal categories. I guess that's the one you are talking about here, because you're talking about the product category form view. So I guess that's the one we're talking about. And here, if I start Studio, then I have stuff that are grayed out. But of course, those are the read-only fields. Otherwise, everything seems editable. Yeah, I think it is. Let's try to add maybe something here, a new field. A new existing field, like just say who created it, just check that, but yeah, it seems okay. So maybe tell me what program you have here, knowing that we maybe don't have the same exact version of Studio, because here, to tell you, I'm, which version am I running? I'm on SAS 15, so maybe there is a difference in the versions, so okay, Michael, you told me, then go to a product, click on its internal category, then try to use Studio. Okay, let's try it this way and see if that's different. Yeah, products, and then click on its internal category. Okay, and then, yeah, the icon here is grayed out. Okay, I don't know if this is a bug or if it's intentional, and because you could be doing things that are not good, but indeed that's weird. I don't know why it's here grayed out, because in fact the view we have here, you see, I could edit it and change it. So simply by going on the view directly by going here, I could do it. But that's true that from the product catalog, then on clicking on something else. So here indeed the Studio button is available. Now it's not. Yeah, and if I check and have a look at some other procurement location, yeah, apparently once you are using here the breadcrumb, it's grayed out, because here, of course, the virtual, the locations in my stock should be something that I can change as well. If here I look at the locations, again, the Studio app is available. So that's maybe something we can improve, but just to let you know that it's possible still to improve. And to use Studio, you just have to maybe go directly to the correct form, to the correct view. Thanks, Michael. I hope I answered your question. World of Steel and the form view. Yeah, again, REST user groups. How to add per module and attribute in the extra rights. I guess the question is. Go back. No, it was not here, it was in the users. Yeah, you would like to add, okay. So I should maybe find another place where we have this. So do we have inherited views? Yes. Oops. Okay, and you told me that's the view you wanted. And you have here. I don't know exactly how we put this information there. Maybe that's something. If I cannot find it, maybe that's something we have to ask in the next. in the next session, the technical one. I can maybe try to find again the information you need, but here maybe that there are lots of places where we use that. Yeah, of course in the XML files we use that in a lot of different places. I don't know if, no, it won't help me this. No. And would it help to look for this information? Yeah. Was it used? No. Maybe it's just by giving that base group no one. Yeah, indeed. But then if you want to add a new attribute, then you cannot do it from the view. Could it be the reason? Not sure. Maybe we'll have to check that with again technical person. But I guess that again it's more guessing, but it confront this with the technical person this afternoon. But I think that this is added automatically once you create new groups that are linked to this base group now one. And so as it's done by Odoo automatically, here there's no attribute that seems to be added. Maybe you could be adding, yeah, again, I'm not a technical person, but maybe that's the reason. You see that here we make some stuff based on the XML ID. Maybe you could be adding a new criteria here to add an attribute on your side. If you want to add a new attribute to these items, but if you want just to add a new record, well, a new line with a new field, and then simply add that base group no one, I would say, on your view. But again, I'm not really sure about that, so best way would be to maybe ask the technical person this afternoon. Yeah, I see that's what you said, so sorry, World of Steel. Samuel, get at you. Okay, I was to calculate the OT for payroll and appear on Space Flip. Okay, working day OT overtime, employee will get, yeah, okay, our work while it worked on holiday. Yeah, okay. Let's install payroll. I don't know if we have that information available and computed by Odoo. I will look for that. The payroll is really not an application we use a lot internally, because we have so many regulations in Belgium about the payroll that we don't do it ourselves. Usually that's for the information. Maybe again a problem of connection. I will check that. It's a problem of view apparently. Let's see. Yeah, could be computed and installed. Okay, we have the payroll here, and here in the configuration of the payroll, let's see if we have some information based on that. If I go into, I think it's in the rules that you can compute that kind of stuff. And here you have, yeah, some Python code, the conditions, but of course it's not based on anything. So could see if in the Python code we have access to that kind of information. Usually there was before. If I create a new rule, I think there is some help here. If I select Python code, yes, you see that you have some information here about some variables that can be used. We have work days, but do we have? Yeah. Maybe there was a way by Python code here. I'm just elaborating here. We would need to check that. But the overtime can be computed by comparing the work days. Yeah, it's days and not the hours. So again, that need to be double checked. But you have the work days here, and you have the contract. And on the contract, I guess you have the you should have. Let's have a look at the contract on the employees. But you should have on the contract the time every employee needs to work in his contract. So let's look at my contract. I don't have any, so let's create my first contract. And you can see here, employee wage. Let's fantasize that I have so much and use a salary structure. And yeah, you have the working schedule here. So I'm working 40 hours per week. But again, this is not computed somewhere. We have the information here, but I'm not sure we could be comparing it to this. So maybe I would have to hard code some of the variables. As on the contract, I don't have one number telling me how many hours I'm working. We have the information here, but it's just text. In fact, we will have to compute this here, and I'm not sure we have a variable on this object resource calendar that would give me the total. If we have, let's have a look at that. But if we have, it could help us, because here, of course, it's not exactly that. Well, here debug. Yeah. If we have that information, it could be helping. So, do we have something like an int that would aggregate? No, we just have the, no int, no, well, the only int is the ID, we don't have any float, so I would expect that maybe we have a global figure that would take, you see, here it's just text, but that would compute the time I'm working, so that I would have this information somewhere. I don't think it's on my HR contract either. Maybe that's something that's missing that we could improve, and maybe that's already there in the master. We can check that, because I know, as I told you, that we have been adding quite lots of information. Here. No, we don't have that information either here. So that's a pity, but it would be quite difficult. Maybe you would need to create a new field to compare here and well, at least have the base time an employee would need to work, so that once you have the work days or the worked hours, you could see how much, what's the difference between that, between the contract and the work days, knowing that in fact, if we really want, it would take a lot of time. I'm just checking if we have some, we already have some questions, but otherwise I can maybe give you a bit more than that, just to elaborate, because I think it's interesting what you are asking. Again, it would be a pity for me to explain that while it's already working in master. So what I will do is just check first on our run bot and see the master version that we have, because maybe we improved that. Just want to check. You know the run bot. If you don't, I'm just explaining this in a few seconds. We have here again. I think we explain that every time there is a live session, but we use a lot the run bot. This is a server on which we have lots of different databases running. Every time you have a blue button here, you can access at least one instance. You can see here, those are the instances in V10, V9, master, which means that's the development for V11, and we have all the SaaS versions. The SaaS are only for our own platform, so we won't have the ability to install this on site. Well, technically you have it, but you shouldn't do it, because you on site you should only use the LTS, so the long-term support versions. And so I clicked here on the master because I want to check, and it's admin. Okay, so that's quite easy to access it. And here we have the payroll somewhere. If I don't find it, you know that you can type directly payroll and you have access to it. And if I click on here, salary rules, I want to check if I have more information, and you see that the forms changed. And if I click here on Python code, it seems to be the same. So maybe another possibility is that this hasn't been adapted. I can check in the other salary rules. Do we have something like new employment bonus is based on categories and salary? I'm checking if we have maybe something here that would be oops, maybe that would be better for your colors. That would be here. No, we don't have something that seems to be computed based on the time. We don't have any other variable, but maybe we have this somewhere in another way, like on the employee form. Maybe we have those new fields I was telling you about with HR settings or on the contract. No, here I don't see anything like the hours I should work. If you find it, please tell me. Okay. Contracts. Maybe, and you can see that here there is a large difference. I was telling you about the fact that we added more regarding the payroll, but it's also, well, maybe on the modules that are used by the payroll. And you can see that here, if we compare the master view for the contract, for the contracts here with what I have on the SaaS, you can see that there's already a big difference. You see what we have here, some fields, but here we have far more with different information. We don't have here the number of hours I should work every week. I'm just checking, yeah, working schedule here again, but maybe not a global number. Otherwise, what you could be doing, so that was my first idea, is create a computed field here. If it doesn't exist, again, that's something that needs to be double checked. If it doesn't exist, you could have a field that would compute all the hours that you have here, so that you could store that information and say, okay, we have 40 hours a week, but it's stored as a number here, and you could be comparing those hours with the time with the work days, or even maybe with the worked hours. But I don't think that we have that. But on the work days, maybe you could already find, okay, is my employee doing some overtime? Otherwise, if you don't have the worked hours and we only have the work days, another solution would be to not only compute the time on the employee and on the contract, how much you should have worked according to your contract. So we said we should create maybe here a computed field that would give you the global number of hours you should work in a week. You should maybe also have a look at the timesheet of that employee. But then I agree, it becomes complicated because you have to compute the timesheets and take care when you have some leaves, because maybe in the timesheets you have to encode when you leave as well. So it becomes quite complex to compute, and that's maybe why here it's not yet available. I will make a final check in the payroll. Oops. In the rules, just to see that, but I don't think that we have something like wage. Here we have some variable of worked 100 number of days, but that's about a category or an input. No, I'm sorry, but it doesn't seem like we have this for the hours being worked. So that would be an interesting figure, of course, for computing what you are asking for. I will keep track of your idea, because in fact, if we don't have it, I can agree that that's something that would be interesting for computing your wages. So I keep this in mind. I will we'll discuss that internally and see if we can improve that. But maybe I'm making a mistake here, and that we have that information that I cannot find it. So I think we should get back to you in another session. But anyway, if we don't have it, we will see what we can do to improve Odoo and take care about that. I'm going a bit further. Okay, no real questions there. Debit and credit account in salary rule. Yes, if you go in the salary rules, Here you have, in the accounting, you have the debit and credit account, and in fact you have two ways you can be using the payroll in Odoo. First, which would be for computing the amounts, have some information about your employees and things like that, and the second one would be, of course, to impact your accounting based on the numbers found in Odoo and the way you compute the salaries and the payroll, globally speaking. As soon as you want to enter information in your accounting, of course, you need to give Odoo a bit more information about where you want to put this information. So let's imagine here, I'm still on the master, but it works the same way on the SAS 15 or even on the V10. You have different accounts here. I will, of course, select accounts that are completely not correct. But the numbers that would be computed under this rule would be impacting those accounts. So we can maybe have a look at that, but maybe everything is not configured the correct way. But let's have a look at a basic batch. So salary rule, I was in basic salary, right? When I did that, yeah. So basic salary, let's see if we have a Belgian employee. We have that basic salary. Do we have this somewhere? No. Maybe should check gross salary. Okay. Let's enter here those accounts. Of course, those are completely not the accounts we should be using for this, because I should have a look at some salaries account, but it's just for the exercises. The exercise here. So we have an account for the salary rule here. I should have now a look at. Yeah, but I had a parent here, so that was correct. In fact, I should have a look at some of my employees that have a link to this salary structure. Okay. Let's go back on my employees and see if we have here somebody that would be linked to that contract. And we have here Belgian employee. Okay, so we are linking this employee to this salary structure. So this salary will be computed according to the information I gave here in the salary structure. But of course, the definition that we have here will select some information we have here in the advantages, in the yearly advantages, in like ton of other information we have on that form. But the salary structure explains how we are going to compute the information. Okay, so if I go back to the payroll, I should have something here like basically batches. I can create a new one and see. Let's create a test here and see if I can add Antoine Anglais here for this month. Usually, I wonder if no, I should maybe add it here. Otherwise, I shouldn't be creating a batch, but rather just create one. For the employees here. I should have removed that. So we have the slip here for Antoine Anglais, but there is no structure. I should have selected maybe Belgian employee. Again here. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't test this that way. And directly go here Antoine Anglais. Again, something I should mention is that here we are on a master, so maybe everything is not completely fine-tuned. Yeah, salary journal is missing. Where is that information? Salary journal. Yeah, okay. We don't have, so I will enter this in another journal, compute sheet. And here, do we have, okay, it's still in draft, so we wouldn't have anything impacting the accounting, but basic here, there's no number, so it's not really interesting, because otherwise, if I have no number here, maybe it won't impact anything in my accounting. Let's go back on my salary rule. and find where, yeah, the gross here. The gross category. I have some numbers, so let's recompute that, and let's see if by confirming I have entries generated in my accounting. Okay, no. Journal entries. You can see here that I have an accounting entry that is created based on this reference. You can see that it's the same. And if I have a look at that, you see that those are the accounts I've been using, and you have the label. So in fact, the debit and credit account I've been creating on that I've been adding on the different salary structure item, like I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was, yeah, on the gross. And, well, we have the information here. What the information we have been given here will impact, of course, what you have here in the journal item. So, based on the way you are going to describe the different salary rules, of course, you have to pay attention to the way you compute the numbers and the information you asked. So, why do we use debit and credit account? It's of course here for impacting the accounts, well, and creating the entries for some of the items in the salary rule. And so that's the output. In fact, once you generate the sheet and you confirm it, it will create the entries in your accounting. So that's why you have this. Of course, here, as I told you, we are working with a chart of account that is not related to a specific country, and I used stock accounts which shouldn't be used. But I don't think that there we have something about salary expenses. In fact, I should have been using maybe this one or a sub account, but anyway, it's not really the point here. The point was to show why it was used. And of course, you can link also an analytic account for this information if you want. Okay, so that's possible. I'm checking also the other questions. There are lots since the last minutes. Yeah, Michael von Heinitz. I am trying to force users only to use real costing in product categories using automated action and Python code. In product category, Python code in automated action is not triggered when updating. Well, it depends how you want to accomplish that. As a reminder, maybe I should re-explain a bit how the automated action work. The first thing, as you know, if you want to create and work with automated actions, well, it depends in which version you are, because here I think that's slightly different on the SAS 15 than on the version 10. We can have a look at that. So automated action here. If I create a new one, I'll call that testing because I don't have lots of imagination today. Base model set order, and here you have different actions. I don't know what you are trying to do. Here I will just execute Python code. And if you want to test something, maybe what you can do is raise a warning and say, okay, this is a test. Let's do this, and yeah, trigger condition. I will say on update. Okay. And let's have a look at one of my. I'm leaving this. Let's have a look at one of my quotations. This one, and just by writing by updating this quote, I should have something that is triggered. Here you see I have it. So just as an introduction to your question, here there's a question about an automatic action that seems not to be triggered. The first thing you can do is eventually, if you don't want to impact too much your instance, you could be testing first, and that raise warning is maybe something that could be useful for testing if it works or not. The second thing is, of course, check the before and after domain. If you don't find the record you want to update, that's maybe because you don't have the correct domains here. Here I didn't put any domain, so I'm sure I'm impacting all different sale orders, being a sale order or a quote. So it was not too complex. But here I'm rephrasing your question. Well, I'm rereading it, in fact. I am trying to force users only to use real costing in product categories using automated actions and Python code. So I don't know if what you mean by that is you try to force users to not select something different than real costing when they create categories. I don't know if that's the reason. If that's what you want to achieve, the thing that you could be creating is, well, let's do it that way. I'm not sure it's again the answer to your question, but that's the way I understand it. I could be creating another automated action. In fact, I will reuse this one because I don't want to be blocked on my sale orders. Because keep in mind that this warning, if I create and update a new sale order on my website, so it means that if I go here, let's go directly on the website. If I go on the website and I go in my cart and I say to here, you don't see it, but there is in fact something that is problematic, is that I have a warning that has been sent. Here I'm adding a new quantity on my cart, the cart being a sale order in Odoo. There was a warning that is sent, but of course a front end user wouldn't see it, so we hide it. I don't know if we can have a look at, yeah, you see we have an error here. We have an error, and this error is, yeah, you see here we have my test notion, and we see that I think, yeah, we see that my code has been evaluated. So you have lots of things that can happen once you play with objects that are used on the front end. So keep in mind that this is important. Just by seeing the raise warning here, it has impacts, of course. It impacts, and sometimes it impacts in a way that you cannot see it. So that was just to mention it. So if we go on the product categories, and let's have a look at how those are computed. Let's go back here. It's internal categories, yes. We have this here, and you don't want to have another costing method than this. So what we could be doing is say that if the costing method is different than you said a real price, we shouldn't be saving the product category. So we could be doing that and say, okay, after update domain, we cannot have here costing method. The costing method must be real price. Let's do it that way. Okay. Ah, yeah, but I cannot select any of those, even though that's the one I would like. So let's save this one. That's a bit weird. Maybe we can improve that, because here, as you can see, as there is no record, I cannot save my domain. But anyway, let's save this. And I think that now, if I have a look at, oh no, just because I'm not editing the domain directly. That's my bad. Here I could either select them manually or edit the domain, and I've been in a wrong direction. Where was my costing method? Must be equal to here real price. Okay, save. So here I have one record, and here if I have my costing method being real, I will have a warning. So again, in fact, that's the opposite. It's not equal to. That's it. Okay. Maybe, of course, we can give a bit more information, like you can't create with costing method being different than real. Okay, of course, that's not super user-friendly, but at least they have a reason for getting an error message. So let's try this again. Let's see if this is working. Yeah. Why? That's maybe the same thing as you have. Then on update, creation and update. Then that's maybe something I could investigate. So we have two records here after. Let's check this again by changing some information, like here, not in view, in fact. Okay. Yeah, so that's good. And if I click here on real price, so apparently there is a small glitch there, because no, I didn't save this. Let's retry. Okay, not creating but changing one. So if I do this here, yeah, no, I could write, even though I have a standard price here, while I'm on the after update. So I don't know here. Maybe I should check. No, it's not triggered. So, which is weird because I have all the categories here. Yeah, two records are concerned. I think I should test this maybe a bit later, but it seems to be a small bug. on the right product categories. Yeah, let's try on maybe on creation. Yeah, here it's okay. Yeah, seems okay. In fact, it seems to be related to the fact I'm doing this on the update rather than on the creation. But again, maybe you can do that on the creation so that you're sure no product category is created with that value. But then people could update it later. So that's weird. Yeah. I could check that after this demo session, because apparently, yeah, it's not taking it into account for the after. I can check that. Maybe I'm making a mistake here, but that's the way I understood it. So let's see that. Anyway, you have a way to do that for the creation. For the update, it seems to be a bit more fuzzy. I will see why this is not working as expected, and I'm not sure. Yeah, raise warning. Yeah, creation update trigger and creation update. Let's try it with your. But I guess we will have exactly the same issue. Yeah. Apparently that's with the update that we have a problem, while with the creation it's not a problem. I will just take a note about that, and we'll have a look at this. Peter Hoth asked us a manufacturing question. I have eggs section and flour section. I've created bombs for the cake product using eggs and flour. I have an order for 2 cake. Or do I send only 2 times half a kilo of 2 egg section? Okay, Peter, let's try it. So maybe giving the full question. I have egg section and flour section. I have created bomb for a cake product using half a kilo of egg and 1 kilo of flour. If I have an order for 2 cakes, how do I send only 2 times 0.5 kilograms of egg section and 2 times 1 kilogram of 2 flour section for them to prepare the required amount of ingredients to make the cake? Let's install first the MRP module, because I think I don't have it. Yeah, indeed. Going there. Good. Yeah, in fact it was already there. I didn't pay attention enough. Let's create the product then. Manufacturing. Master data. Products. Let's create my cake here. And yeah, it's a stockable product. Let's put some fake rice. Here, let's say it's something I'm going to manufacture. I can make it to order as well. Okay, for the rest, I think that's okay. Maybe I will get back to this later. Then we have a bill of material. Let's create it and let's use the product. You say flour. Create an edit. Here, yeah, I'm not working with unit of measures. If you don't mind, I will use units everywhere. Tell me if that's a problem, but so I will use here flour, it's 1 kilogram, while on the other side we have egg, and here I hope I can use half a kilo, otherwise I will have to. Yeah, seems okay. I will have to use the unit of measures. So we have here at least a bit of material. For my cake. And now if I want to sell a cake, I can create a new sale order for 2 cakes. Whoops. That's it. Okay, no discount. I click on confirm sale. And here, as I define my cake to be delivered, made to order and manufacturing, it should create in the end a bill of material, a manufacturing order here. Let's see how it, if it's working fine, if my configuration is correct. So I'm confirming the sale here. We have a delivery that is scheduled, And if I have a look at my manufacturing orders, now we have my cake with my 2 quantities that are already triggered with my flour and egg. Now, this is maybe part of your answer. Here you don't send, to be clear, you don't send 2 times 0.5 kilograms of eggs or 2 times 1 kilogram of flour. You of course aggregate it, and everything is can be sent to the same section. Knowing that here I have not been working with this section, but I can maybe add the notion of work centers by adding this this module in my Odoo quality MRP work orders. Yes, in fact I have it installed, but I'm not using it. Then configuration here, settings, work orders, and that's it. Yeah, let's save this. It's installing. Now I have the work orders, manufacturing. I can create a routing and say that I have my cake routing. I can create 2 operations, one which is for the flour. I can create a flour work center here, and I can create my eggs operation and link it to the eggs work center. Okay, but here I'm not sure I will be able anyway to divide this and to say, okay, we are going to ungroup every time the quantities. So I'm completing the flow here, but I don't think we will have an answer if your need is to separate per having one manufacturing order per quantity of cake. In fact, I think that's your question. I still need to go in my planning and in my bill of material and say that, oops, my bill of material now should be linked to my routing. And now if I go back on my sales side, I duplicate this sale order, I confirm it. Now if I have a look at my planning with my manufacturing orders, now I have a second cake, which is the MO2 here. And this time it will be linked if I check the availability. Yeah, I don't have any flour or eggs, so here I would have to maybe force it. Now we have 2 work orders as I hear, but again, it's not because I have the work orders that I'll be able to split it. I split it maybe through work centers, but I'm not splitting the quantities. Yeah, so and here if I check the work orders definition by going into the work centers, maybe I should go directly here in the work centers. I'm not sure you can define that. No, not here. And on the bill of materials, if I have a look at the routing, can I select the products? Nope. Nope. So if that's your question, if your need was to split it, then it's not something that you can do in standard, I think. I'm pretty sure of it. So here you have your planning for, let's go back, for your manufacturing order, for the 2 here, but of course we aggregate it. And for Prasanna John Paul Augustine, when does it create a debit account? I guess you are back on the question about the payroll. We used it at the moment we created the journal entry, and we created the journal entry at the moment after we computed the sheet for the employee that we confirmed it. So if I go back here, I think it's still open. Yeah. Where was it? I was here in my. You see that I'm back here on the master version. I created that payslip, and then I confirmed it. Well, we can create a new one eventually, but for next month. Okay. I created that payslip for my employee here, and if I compute the sheet here, it's not yet generated. I can have a look at my journal entries. You can see here that under that journal I just have the sheet number 7, and if I go and confirm it now, it's number 8, I guess. Oh no, number 13. I guess somebody is playing a bit with that while I'm giving this demo. And now if I just refresh, we have it here now. So it's when you confirm, in fact, when you confirm the sheet of your employee. So Vinerana, how to configure letter of credit and letter of guarantee related to a bank. I think we don't have that simply. Exception made of, I don't know that term. Maybe you can elaborate a bit more about that and tell me what you would expect for that letter of credit and letter of guarantee, and I will have a look at this in our accounting. President John, I think then you asked, well, again, it was 15 minutes ago. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back and find all the questions I need to answer, but I think I answered your question with the credit and debit side of the account. Michael von Einitz, you said it's a company-dependent field, but I'm not sure about, yeah. Okay. For the update of the product category, I guess. Yeah, creation trigger works. As you can see, I think there is a delay between the time I see your answer when we are talking together. Yeah, Michael von Einitz, we will try. I don't know how we can do that, because I will, of course, check this. What you can do, maybe the most simple solution, because I was thinking, okay, you could drop me your mail, but it's maybe not safe to copy paste your mail like this on YouTube. You don't want to be bothered by people for advertisement or spam and things like that. So maybe what you can do is, you know that once you find something that is problematic, there are two ways you can find your solution. You have the form about help, okay, for asking some question, and then you have /help, which is Odoo's way of gathering the feedback. You see that here, of course, it's I'm logged, so it recognizes me. But you have to specify, okay, I'm using Odoo Community or Odoo Enterprise, but this is my database, this is the version I'm using at the moment. I have a bug report to submit, and then you state it. Michael, if I can ask you to do that and state what we have been discussing now, and we will check if this is indeed a bug. But that's the standard way of reporting a bug at Odoo, okay? And I'm saying this because at least we have your email and we can reply to you, because otherwise you will have to wait for next Friday to have the answer, if I don't forget it, which is really hard with me. So that would be the best to do. Then Rafik Isawi, a question that is a bit more technical, but I will try to answer it, and you will tell me if you have enough information. So the question is, I need to send post orders details via PHP XML RPC. What can I know the object? I see different questions there. The objects, you have all the definition of the object at least two different places. You have it here. First, when you are in debug mode, you have some information about the object under the name models. So here, if I have a look at my post order, I have the post order and also, of course, the post order line. And if I look at the post order, here I have all the attributes of a post order. But of course, we are here with different objects that are interacting together in a relational database. So we have lots of many-to-one and one-to-many and many-to-many relationships. So of course, if you are trying, my guess is that if you are trying to exchange information regarding the post orders, of course, you are trying to also give information regarding the post order lines, maybe some statement information, accounting information, things like that. And so you need to navigate through the different models that we have. And for this, you would need some knowledge about Odoo to know that, okay, a post order is made of post order lines. You can have a look at that by going to the post orders in debug mode. If you go here in the orders, you know that, okay, you have a order reference, which is the name field. Then you have a date, which is the date of the order, which is date_order. So you have lots of information here. You can see all the fields, of course, but sometimes there are fields that are not shown. So here, if I'm counting all the fields, I wouldn't get all the fields that we have here. Here we have something like, I don't know, 50, something like that, while we show 25 here. You have lots of other fields of other information, so you need to know and spend a bit of time reading the code or how the objects are built before you can send valuable information through XML RPC. So that's my first point. You have to know the object. What I can do is tell you where to find information. First thing is here on the view in debug mode, then on the database structure here in the models, or on GitHub where you have the same information here. That's maybe even better. If I go in my point of sale module, oops, add-ons here, whoops. If I go in my point of sale module here, you have the same information like post order. If I look at date order, you see here all the fields that we have here are of course the same as the one we have here, except that here it's in a context. You have a bit more information, and you have the functions that you can use in Odoo. But just to tell you that you have those three different places to find information about the post order: here, here, and here. Okay. With that information, you should go quite far. Then there is the communication aspect, because you are telling me about PHP XML RPC. I am not really an expert in XML RPC. I'm totally not an expert in PHP. But you have some information about that communication aspect on our documentation as usual. But I think it's only in Python. Let's have a look at this. Do we have? Yeah, is it here? Or is it no thing a reference? Yeah, here you have it in PHP here to tell you how you can start by connecting to the database, accessing to a specific DB, logging in, and things like that. There you have the information in PHP, Ruby, Python, and Java. But that's for the XML RPC aspect. For the rest, well, I don't know what you want to accomplish, especially, but that's the information I can give you regarding how to send post order information through PHP XML RPC. So don't hesitate to reply to my comment, and I will see if I can help you further. Motor parts. I'm trying to answer your question in a few seconds. So, is it possible to show product-based pricing tags on the website? Example, we sell flutes in 100 milliliters bottles, so we have also to show the per liter price of the product. It is mandatory in some countries. Okay, well, let's do that. I understand what you need to do. Well, I think, again, it's always a matter of interpretation. Let's have a look at our products, and let's create your 100 milliliters bottle for motor parts. Oops, we have that. Maybe before we do that this time, I will play with the different unit of measures. Unit of measures here, good. Save, so that at least I can specify liters and milliliters. Yeah, sales, catalog products. Again, different ways to do that. The first of which is maybe the easiest one, which is, let's say that here we have something that costs 100 euro and it's managed by liters. Okay, and it's a stockable product. And we have here the sale price. It's 100 for, oh no, it's not liters. You told me it's 100 milliliters. We don't have it. I need to create it first. Okay. Unit of measures. Or maybe we have it. Category. Yeah, okay. I think that's the reference unit of measure. Okay, I can create milliliters in. Yeah. Okay, just checking. Seems correct. So back to my product. Let's create this and say, okay, it's 10 euro for the milliliters. It's a stockable product, and this is what we have. Okay, we have here. First thing is that we have the sale price, but the sale price here, we know that it is for my 100 milliliters bottle of motor parts. The first thing is that you could, easiest way to create would be to have another field that would be maybe another float field. Let's have this here. Where is it? It's my number. Could maybe have created rather a monetary number, but anyway. So let's say okay. And then we have blah 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 float. Let's keep it that way. And yeah, let's close. And then what you have here is that you're going to say, okay, here you know it's 100 milliliter bottle. Then the price should be 10 times more. I should have created a monetary field instead, but that's for the idea. I have the price per liter, and now I can show that on my website. You see here, the name of the field has been created by Studio, so I need to reuse that Studio field name. You see, it's not really understandable. I mean, you cannot keep it in your head. We are working on that, and I think that later we'll have new fields, custom fields that will keep the name of the label we are using. So next time it will be L price, for example, for the name of this field. So here we see it has been created by Studio. The next thing I need to do is add it to my website view. I can go on my website and see first how I can be doing that. Let's have a look at my product view. And that's here. Let's edit. Not that this way. I'm first checking, going back here. I'm not sure we can add no new fields from here. I'm just checking, but no. I wonder if it had been improved. But what you can do is customize here. I will do something directly in the view without inheritance, but of course that's not something that we should do. I will explain that in a few seconds. So I will have a look at the HTML and CSS editor, and I see here I have my product view. So let's see. We have the product name here, and so the product name is just here, and then we have the price somewhere. Let's look for some pricing information. Price list. So that's maybe not alternative product attributes, no, product price here. Okay, maybe that's here where we should be putting the information, and we can maybe use H3 and see if we can use some information that would be. Yep. Of course, I will show you later that it's not how you should be doing that. And we have here Xstudio field. That's not really easy to keep that in mind. So let's have a look at the views. And the one created by Studio. Oh, yeah, that's one. Yes, okay. I'm copy pasting the name of my field, and let's see if this works. Maybe I will get an error. No, that's fine. So you see that here I have 100, and I could say then embed this in a nicer way and say this is my it's not the correct view. This is my price per liter, so product price, and say here, okay. And of course here I would do something really bad, which is directly typing the euro sign. Well, I shouldn't. It should be a monetary field, and we should do, well, work with the currency aspect on the other side and play with that T options. Maybe I should have thought about that before creating my field, but I think you get the idea. The thing is that I'm improving that view. I will copy paste that and I will create it in an inherited view so that at least I can teach you that too. So I created that new field in the backend. At the moment, it's not a field that is computed. That's another step we could be adding. This field, I'm now reusing it not only in the backend for giving it the information, but also on the front end for displaying it to my customers. If I save this, okay, you have the price per liter. Of course, you can make this a bit smaller, and that would be fine. Knowing that so two improvements I can bring to this. The first of which is really important. If there are no questions, I think that's something I should mention and spend a bit more time on that in this presentation. I see. If I don't have any question, I will explain something about that because I think it's really interesting to understand how the views work in terms of inheritance. Here we had a list, a view that is product price, something like that. I will just maybe type my field, so that I'm sure I will find it in my view architecture. Okay, so that's the view I've been changing. This view is a property of Odoo, so I shouldn't change it that way. What I should do is rather say, okay, I don't want to change anything that is the property of Odoo. I want to create my own inherited view. So I can go here and add a new item, but it's not really nice because I don't have a lot of space to create stuff. So what I would do is, okay, it's product underscore price. I will create a new view. Say product price moto parts. I will say, okay, I will inherit from product price. I think it was, yeah. Okay, I will have to search more. That's the one in QWeb. QWeb is the one we use for the website. Okay, I have now my architecture, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to add this. Of course, you need to say where do you want to add this, and we work with XPath. You will find lots of information about the XPath online. And I'm going to type an expression to say where it is going to go. And I'm saying, okay, it is going to go after what? After what I will put here in my expression. And the expression, of course, it's a matter of syntax, but I'm going to say, okay, the last H4 item, that's where I would put it. So I'm going to say here, expression, find the last A4 item. I'm not sure about the syntax, but let's try it that way. Seems to work. Let's see now how it looks like on my website. And we have here, yeah, yep. Let's see, now for my bottle. Yeah, we still have it, but now it's in a nice way. It's not in the Odoo standard view, it's just created in a view that just contains that information that is your property. We will come back to this later, as I said, because I like the discussion about the inherited view, because when you understand it, you do it properly and you don't mess around with what's already in Odoo. So we have this information. The first improvement I said would be to put this in an inherited view. We did that. The second improvement would be to, of course, compute the price per liter. Let's say you have tons of product, you don't want to put that information manually or even to import it. I won't be doing the full exercise because I think it will be taking quite a lot of time. But what we could have been doing is say, okay, we have the price here. We know that it's in milliliters. We should have somewhere where we say, I'm just checking if we don't have that in the inventory. No, we have the weight of the volume. Well, we could be doing that. Say it's, it has this volume. Yeah, I should improve the decimal accuracy of the volume. But we could say that, okay, we have the volume it takes for this product. We have the price for that volume, and so we could find the amount here and compute it automatically. So first, I would need to create a computed field, and I would need to say, okay, my price per liter here depends on the unit of measure. Of course, I've selected because you have maybe centiliters, milliliters, and things like that. So you would have to play with this ratio, and then once you have the ratio here, you will have to also check the volume of which is here in the inventory, the volume of this bottle, so that it's computed automatically, and you don't have to yourself compute that or put that information, import it or type it by hand. So that would be the second improvement. It's a bit longer, so I won't do that now. But that's another idea, of course, for you if you want to put that. That was for you, Motorparts. I'm going to the next question, which was from President John Paul Augustin. But how does allowance and deduction affect the credit and the debit account? That's a good question. In fact, if I go here, I'm not sure I will again answer correctly to your question, because here on my side I've been working on the gross salary, and I told you I've been selecting a debit and a credit account that are not specifically that are not at all correct regarding the accounts and the chart of accounts, but the allowance and deduction will affect it the same way. So if I go in my allowance here, I have accounting here, you still have a debit and a credit account. And depending on the numbers you will get here, you will have, of course, some amount at the debit for the debit account and some amount at the credit for the credit account. On this side, what you could be doing is have a look at, we have that in Belgium. I don't know if in your country you have that kind of stuff, but what we receive, we don't use, for example, for Odoo, we don't use the payroll. I will tell you why. We have some companies in Belgium that do that for us, and they send us directly the accounting entries we have to put in our accounting. So we don't compute ourselves the payroll for our own company, because we receive the information already digested. So we know where to put some information at the credit or at the debit. So that's how we would find what we need to do. For your side, maybe what you should check is how you have been doing that in the past, so that you know how you need to configure it. If you see that for the conveyance allowance, you always have that debit account, that account being used for the debit and that account being used for the credit, then you will put that information in the conveyance allowance. It's not Odoo that will select that for you. It's you that should know that from your the person that works at your HR department or the company that computes the salary. You should know that and bring this knowledge to Odoo. That's not Odoo that will help you finding the accounts to use. Then I have a question from Rui Franco. Is there a way to update all SO lines price when you select a different price list? It seems one has to update every line manually. Well, there is a way. There is a way. It's a bit complex. I'm just checking. Okay, still lots of questions. Let's see if we can solve that quickly. Let's say it like that. We have a quote here, and your question is, okay, if I change the price list, will it impact? Could it impact my product? So let's do that. Let's select my cake again. So this is the price of my cake. I will create a new price list and create a 10% discount on cakes. Okay, Euro website, country group. What I should be doing maybe is give a bit more here. Oops, in my price lists. Again, error on my side. I should go here, settings, and then price lists. Yeah, price computed from formulas, so I can give my 10% discount. Should get there quickly. Okay. And now I can say that on all products, or on just my specific product here, I have 10% discount. Okay. Let's do that. And the other thing is you would like to change the price, the sell order line price when we change here. And you see that if I change between those two, the price doesn't get updated. What you would need to do is to recompute that. But I wonder, because here I see it's selected again. So let me check. It seems to be refreshed anyway. So I wonder if it's not done by default by Odoo in standard. I will just save this and play again with this. No. No, indeed. That's weird, because I thought we would have something that would check if the price list changed. I can first see if we have that here in Odoo first, and have a look at our sale module, because I wonder if we shouldn't have that already by default. I know it has been asked. I was wondering, shouldn't we have already something like that? Partner ID. Do we have already the notion of no, I've been checking them all. Do we have the price list already here? Yes. I can be checking if we have something like on change price list, but I'm not sure we'll find something like that. Nope. Maybe we have, maybe we don't. It seems like we have, but anyway, you could be trying to do that yourself by creating a new automated action. Because here on the sale order, I think you can here go on based on form modification. We'll see, because maybe it's a bit more complex on change field trigger. Comma separated list of fields name that trigger the on-change. So I will say, okay, price list ID. I think that's the name of my field here, price list ID indeed. So data to write. Here I will not click on update the record, but more like execute Python code. And I wonder if I cannot play with rather the unchanged product. Let's see if we can do that. Because there should be something like an unchanged product ID. Fiscal position, partner, product ID. Okay, product ID change. Maybe I should try to reuse that and see if this works. Not sure. And say, so for sale order line in my, I think it's record here, followed by order lines. I'm not even sure of the name of that. So let's try the order line without S. Okay. Let's see if this kind of stuff works. Yeah, of course. Not sure this works. Huh? Let's see. But that's more or less the idea. I'm astonished because I thought we really had that. So maybe I'm trying to find a solution here that is technical why it shouldn't be. Okay. Yeah, it works. So here we have the 20 when we are on public price list. And then if I go back here, instead of just changing the prices information, it does as if I was also changing the product. So the problem is that there's another thing here, because I think that if I have 2, maybe it will go back to 1 then. No, it's okay, in fact. Okay, good. Well, that would be a solution. I'm not sure it's the best one, but at least it puts quite quickly in place. Then it needs to be tested. But I'm astonished because I thought we had that kind of stuff, and maybe I didn't check in the right direction here. Okay, with Franco, that was for you. I'm getting back here. Sativa, I'm trying to. Okay. Website builder question. How to set up diff website for diff company? We have that, but it's not something we are going to cover here. Because of the multiple websites configuration is quite hard, and I'm not sure we even support that anymore. So let me check again. I'm not sure you can define one website per company. If I have multiple companies, you don't have, yeah, you have a notion of website here, but it's just, yeah, it's just text information. And on the other side, in the website administration, yeah, I'm not sure we have that. Multiple price, multi-currencies, multiple images, no. I'm not sure we have that anymore in the next version of Odoo. So I should maybe check a bit further. I know we had that, or we had thought about having this, because I know it could be useful to have multiple websites with the same database, but I'm not sure we still have that. I see lots of spam. With Odoo Studio, created a custom module and imported account invoice. When I try and create the invoice, it shows vendor instead of customer invoices. Yeah. Okay. In fact, you should be using, something a bit specific, which is the type of the invoice. Let's have a look at how Odoo does it in standard. If I go in the customer invoices here, you see I have three different invoices, while on the purchase side I have none. So obviously Odoo knows how to separate the vendor and the customer invoices. And in fact, it does it based on a simple criteria. If you go in the action, so in the action being what is triggered when I click on the menu item, so what is executed after I click here on purchase. If I click on edit action, you see that we are going to add a domain. So we are going to say to Odoo, okay, show me the invoices. You can see here it's the object that is being shown. Show me the invoices, use those views. I use this view for the search. And then you have some information here, which is the domain. So we are going to say, but only show me the account invoices that are of this type being in invoice or in refund. So it means all the supplier invoices and the supplier refunds. While on the other side, if I go on my customer invoices and I edit the action, then you have the same, but this time for out invoice and out refund. So you have four different types of invoices, purchase, customer, and then invoice or refund. And you need to use that type on the menu item action so that you can split and go for one part on the customer side and for the other part on the supplier side. So that's maybe what's missing on your menu item or on your the action is that filter. Again, this is to bring this into the action so it's done automatically, but you could be doing that yourself. So I mean, if I had a view with all the invoices, I could play a little bit with that and say, okay, the type here is of course something you can reuse. You could say is vendor bill. And of course, if I'm here in the sales invoices and I say type is vendor bill, I won't find any because it cannot exist. But this is the way you could be doing it, that using simply your filters directly. It's the same technical notion. The only thing is that we work on domains, but the only thing is that here I have to do it myself or to save it as a favorite, as a filter, while on the other side it's a domain that is directly applied. So you cannot remove it, it's done automatically. Okay. Yeah, Jonathan Westek, I think that was the answer. Shuiguru, 2 minutes ago you asked, hey, could I ask information about development? You can try. You can try. But I don't know if I will be able to answer. So please just do it, and if I can't, I will forward you to my colleague that will be here in something like 50 minutes, 15 or 15, and that will be taking care of the technical side of this session. Jonathan Westek, yeah, when I see your almost the answer, good, almost, that's already there. When I create, I want to see customer, not vendors. Within a new created invoice. So, Jonathan, is it then that you want to have here only the customers and not the vendors? If that's the question, then it's also a notion of domain. So it's similar to what we were discussing, but then it's a bit different in the sense that we are working on the partner object instead of on the invoice. But you can see here, in fact, we already have the answer. When you are in debug mode, you can have a look at what's happening in Odoo standard. I told you that's maybe something you could keep in mind, is once you don't know how to accomplish something in Odoo, just check what's already existing. Try to find a way of knowing, okay, I need to add a new behavior to Odoo. Does this behavior already exist some other place? And here we have already here something that exists. So if you want to create customer invoices and only be able to select customers and not suppliers, we do that already in standard. And we have here, as you can see, we have when you are in debug mode, you see we have a domain, and the domain is saying, okay, customer needs to be true. And in fact, it means that all the records that I should have in this list need to have their customer field, which is a boolean or untrue. Let's have a look at that. If I check my my test client here, I open that window. You have is customer, and that's the field. Let's hover it, and you see that the name of the field here is customer. So that's because I've this being enabled, that I can see that customer and that I don't see a supplier. Okay, so this is something you can change by either using Studio. If I yeah, let's save this way, and if I go in my whoops, should I go back here? If I go in my form view, where is it? Here, you have the customer field that is here, and you see that customer is true here. I could remove that. I could say, okay, it's not true, or simply remove the statement. Say, okay, save. Then the risk is that I will create a sales invoice to a supplier. So of course, I won't say don't try this at home, but that's a bit the idea. And now if I create a new customer invoice, you see that I have access to not only the suppliers, but the partners that are not defined either as a supplier or as a customer. I have everybody, simply said. So that's something you should avoid. In fact, in playing with those domains. But if you need to add a new one, that's the way you should do it. And here I will go back to adding my domain, saying okay, customer. Oops, maybe should I directly go here, customer, maybe it's is a customer, that's it. Yeah, it's set to true. Okay, save, and then I'm back to my initial definition. Yeah, that's good. So Jonathan Westek, tell me if that was what you needed. If it's not, I will just give me a bit more information. I will try to find what you need. Shuiguru, do you know how to create a new object model when on change of their object is triggered? When the state of sale order changes from quotation to sale order, I create job object, my custom model. Yes, in fact, just a matter of naming. You are not going to create a new object. You are going to create a new record for that specific object. Okay, Jonathan, good. Shuiguru. We can do that. So when we change from quotation to sale order, let's first see if we can create an automated action for that. So let's go. I'm already in the automated action here. Let's create one other on the sale order. And create a new record when you have to confirmed, and let's see if we can do on update. And before update domain, I would say the state status is equal to quote, and then after the status is equal to sale order. Okay, so when we make a specific update from there to there, we should do something. So let's see that. You have the update the record, but you can create a new record. You could be doing that through Python, but here, as we have already something that is existing, let's try this. Let's create a new, and I'm just selecting here. an easy record to create, so one that just needs a name so that it's easier, but it could be any of your type of object. And I can say here, I would like the name, display name, customer name, no, display name, or is it maybe the subject? No, I will select here on my lead. That's just the name. Maybe should I go that way? Okay. Name for the opportunity. Yeah, good. That's it. Value and say I could use something that is here a formula or give directly an expression. I will use it here with a simple string. Let's try this. I will validate one of my sale order. I'm going here, sales. Quote, and see if I can validate that quote. Something happened. At least I didn't have a bug. Let's see if it created a lead with blah blah. Yeah, so it created that lead. So you see that lead has been created because I validated my quote. Okay, so you could be doing that, knowing that here I created an opportunity. You could be playing not with a value but with a Python expression. So you could be selecting. Here I'm not sure about the syntax, but should it be when formula type is selected, this field may be a Python expression, some values. As for the code field on the server action, if value type is selected, yeah, okay. Then maybe here I could select is it the record.name and see if that's the sale order's name that will be used. Let's check that. That's my sale order. Let's go back and cancel this one, set it to quote, and then reconfirm it. Still no error, so let's go back. Whoops. Now in my leads, yeah, and it created a lead SO006. So here it took the name of the sale order to create the lead as I expected by using a record.name. So you can create that new record, and that new record is an instance of the model you have here, and you could be creating anything you want, just here in data to write. The only thing is that, of course, if I miss a field that is required, you will get a bug. You will get a traceback telling you that something is missing. Maybe not a traceback, maybe just simply an information window telling you that you are not giving required information to the object, to the record you want to create for the object, and so you would get an error. But this way is working fine. It works, and maybe that's what you want to achieve. So should we go? Tell me if that's what you need. Then last question I have here, can you see the vendor amount owed on a vendor customer profile? Yes, I think you have that, because when you go on, let's go on purchase, if you have your vendors, I don't have any, let's create one. Let's call it Coca-Cola, and you see that we have that nice snippet for entering the information automatically. Okay, and let's create a new vendor bill for Coca-Cola. Let's see here, or not even only a vendor bill. I can create a purchase order so that we will have both, and I will order, let's say, even cakes. Let's imagine that they are selling cakes. Okay. Let's confirm the order. Then let's receive the products. Okay, and let's get the vendor bill. Okay, let's validate it. If I go back to Coca-Cola, you will see that you have the amounts. Yeah, okay, get it. You don't have the amount, you have the vendor bill, and you have the purchase. Okay, if you need the amount, that's a bit different. I don't know if you can see that easily. Well, first thing, you have the information, not directly in the vendor bills, but you have the supplier ledger where you see that here, that's the amount you owe it, you owe him. So you already have that. Another way you could do that, but then it would require development, is base your job on, if you want the number directly here, you would need to do it as we did it on the customer side, because I think we have that on the customer side. Yeah, you have the amount here overdue, and that would be, you could be maybe reusing that, the total amount. Otherwise, you can create just checking if I can maybe do that quite quickly now. Yeah, here you have the amount invoiced. So let's see how this is built, and let's see if we cannot do that again. So action view partner invoices. Let's have a look at that. It's maybe in the enterprise version. Nope. Then I'm maybe not copy pasting that correctly. Action view partner invoices. But that's maybe because I'm here searching for version 10, and it's version 15. Could be explaining it. So let's have a look at that. Do I have it here? No, I won't find it here. That's a pity. Maybe I can have a look at that differently. And check that manually. In the accounts, do we have things about the partners? Yeah. Yes, we have that. So you would maybe need to do the same kind of research here, knowing that this is just to find the records, but not for computing the total invoice. This is here. It's compute invoice total, and in fact, if you have that here, you would need to create the same kind of query and then reuse that on the purchase side and create the same kind of button. But as you can see here, that's quite some development. But I wonder if we couldn't be using this also for no, there's a type here we are using for out invoice and out refund, so we cannot be reusing that for the purchase side, not the same way. I mean, you would need to recreate kind of the same code that we have here, knowing that on the purchase side, well, you have the under bills and you have the information directly here, so that's a bit the same. And you could even add a new filter and see, okay, I just want to see the ones that are overdue or the ones that are not paid. That would be a first way. Otherwise, supplier ledger, that works fine as well. Cloud Solution Pakistan, is this the right place for a bug crash I'm facing, or is this only for functional support? In fact, usually it's only for functional support, so I'm glad to help if I can. If you have a crash or a bug report, usually if you have a traceback, I would tell you to go, I think we have been discussing that. Where is it? No. Well, just type it again, it won't be hard. Just, you can go here on help and enter a new bug, here a bug report, and give the way to reach that bug and why you got it, and copy paste the traceback if you have one, so that we can investigate and see what's going on. I could be having a look at that now, but the problem is that you cannot copy paste your traceback in the window of YouTube, so it won't help. But really don't hesitate to submit a new ticket, and we will reply if there is a crash. But of course, something I should mention is that we reply and we try to solve it only in the Odoo standard code. If you have a crash because you developed something that we are not aware of, based on objects we don't know, based on things that we don't know how they should be working, that's really hard for us, and usually we won't be investigating time in functional support if it's not something that is Odoo's. If you need technical help, we have also possibility to offer, we have some packs of consultancy, and then you have to go through that. You have to go through that way instead of going to the odoo.com help page. So, okay, the crash happens on installing any app. Tell me more. Can you just write what's happening, and I will see if I can help you for that. Samuel, get at you. Is automated action available in Community Edition? Good question. Let's check. I know there have been some changes here. I told you about the runbot. The runbot, you have it for Odoo Enterprise, but you have it also for Odoo Standard. So if I go in V10 Odoo Standard, somebody has really good taste in design here. In the settings, do we have, I need to go here, old stuff, go back to debug. I think that's it. Yeah, that's simply it. And then here, automation, automated action, yes. We have, but is it working the same way? So let's try to do that on state order. Blah, 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 blah. When to run, on update. Yeah, you have the same information. You have more or less the same here. It's only displayed, not with the same interface, but you have that. Yeah, thanks, Franco, for answering as well. So, Cloud Solution Pakistan, you told me when I click to install any app, here I click on accounting one, then an error message comes up. That's few lines of error. The thing is that I should mention it, when you submit a ticket to our help platform, we try to reproduce this on the runbot, because what our way of comparing with our code is, of course, the standard code of Odoo. So we go, if we want to reproduce, we go on Odoo and we try to accomplish the same actions. If we don't have a bug, it means that it's not because of Odoo standard, but of your data or of specific development or things like that. And then it means that you may have to investigate a bit more, give us more information, or maybe you have then to ask us for more analysis, and then we go through a support pack, which is not, let's say, something free compared to the submit a support ticket that we have here. Okay, and if you're interested, we have a page, I think, about pricing. Yeah, we have a page about the pricing here. Depending on your place, you won't have the same price, I think. So here, as I'm located in Belgium, I have maybe different prices. You have a success pack here, and once you have a pack, you can use 25, 50, or 100 hours with one of our consultants for technical help or for functional help. Okay, that being said, checking the information, run your installation, MTDB, I will visit it. Okay. As you wish, Cloud Solution Pakistan. Okay, perfect. But don't hesitate. Maybe here you're the last one with a question. So anyway, if you just have the last line, I can see quickly if I know what it is. Otherwise, maybe we'll have to wait. In 30 minutes, my colleague is coming for the technical support live session. Or again, go through the help ticket as we have here. Not this one, but yops. Getting back to the help. Okay, that's good. So something else I should mention. So here I don't have any new questions, so don't hesitate to ask anything, because here we still have 30 minutes to go, and I would be glad to answer more questions. If we don't have, I will just spend a bit of time. I told you I wanted to explain a bit the notion of view inheritance. I think it's a good way of understanding of how Odoo works. So I will spend something like 5 to 10 minutes, I think, explaining that. So don't hesitate if you have other questions. I'm really insisting on that. You have some time left, so let's make use of it. We have been, during this session, we have been creating sometimes new views and improving views that exist. Let's see something that I've been creating through Odoo Studio. And you see that if I type Studio here, I have the views that have been created by Studio. Not only the views created by Studio, because we have the default Studio views as well, but you see that here I created a view for the invoice form customization, and for the product category form customization, and for the product template. And you see here that something interesting is that once we want to create new stuff in Odoo, usually we do it by creating what we call inherited views. This is an inherited view. And how can you know that a view is inherited? You have view inheritance mode, that is extension view. This means that in fact, this view that we have here, where the definition of the view is just here, is not a new view, is a view that will be hooked on a parent view. And the parent view, you can see it here, it's the inherited view. And in fact, what it does is that when I go on this view here, which is Odoo's property, we created a view, and you know how it works. We have lots of buttons here on the invoice. Then we have some information about well, the number of the invoice if it's an invoice. We have the customer, then the payment terms, then the date of the invoice. If I compare that to really what we have in the invoice, you will see maybe that's something you already know, but still spending a bit of time on it. We have so vendor. I'll go maybe on the sales side. You have here customer, payment terms, and then invoice date. And if I have a look at this, we have customer, payment term, date, invoice. Move name, we don't see it because it's invisible. So this view is explaining what I can see here at the moment on my invoice. It doesn't only explain that because we have inherited views. And so it's not what I see here is not only what I have there in my whole view definition, it's also what I have in the inherited view. And once you, as a developer or as a functional consultant, you want to improve that because you have new fields you want to add and things like that, you need to create an inherited view. There's no discussion about that. You shouldn't be touching anything in the architecture here of our views, except for testing purposes. As soon as you want to do something that would last, you shouldn't be changing anything in the architecture of existing view. That's why here, at first, when we made the exercise of showing a new field on the website, I had to create, well, I created a new field with Studio, and then I've been on the website and I've been adding directly the field in the view, but I told you it's not a good way to do. I did it on purpose because I wanted to talk about this topic. And I wanted to show that once you are creating a view, you should be doing that aside of Odoo's own architecture. But you are going to find a way to say, that's the view I want to change, and that's where I want to change the view. And how you do that? Yeah, there are two ways you can specify this. If I go back on the inheriting view, sorry, two things. You are going first to say, which is the view I would like to inherit? That's where you specify it. It's in inherited view, and you have to change then the view inheritance mode and say it's an extension view instead of a base view. Okay, so here I'm saying that this view is inheriting from this one. And then inside the view that we have here, I'm going to say where I would like to make some changes. And that's the notion of the XPath. The XPath, you will see it's not something that is specific to Odoo. If I type XPath, well, a tester or attribute or tutorial, you will see you have a nice tutorial of W3 schools that will show you how you can use the XPath and find your way through the different tags of an XML file. Okay, that's just to tell you that you have lots of resources online to know how to use this. But so the XPath here, I have one expression here, another there. Those expressions help me changing the base view. And I'm saying here, the expression is what is the tag at what place I would like to do something. And here I'm saying, okay, I would like to change the field whose name is partner ID. And then we have sometimes a bit more information. Should we take the last one? Should we take the first one? The second one? Should we take only the one that don't have any ancestors? Things like that. And we say then, once we are on this field, what do we want to do? Do we want to change an attribute on that existing field? Do we want to add something after? Do we want to replace it? And so we will find lots of different things, but here I think you have after, before, inside, attributes, and replace. And you have then the ability to improve the views of Odoo by creating your own. And that's really important. That's how you should do it, is creating a new view that is inherited. If you don't do that, you will simply lose your changes. We can make the exercise about that. Let's change. I should change the module. It's not too time-consuming to reinstall. Let's have a look at the CRM leads form view. So let's again do this CRM lead for the model. Select a form view. Okay, and so this is the one I have it. Or even a tree view is even easier to change. In fact. Preview, okay. Lead here, we have name, city, we have, date deadline is invisible normally. Let's have a look at that. Let's go back in my, not studio, but okay, close. Let's go back on my leads, and we see that we have a create date, which is here, but we don't have the date deadline. Let's change that. Let's say I want to modify this view, and I say it's invisible. It's not invisible anymore. Let's go back on my view. Let's refresh, and now we will see a new column. You see we have expected closing. That's new. That's because I said no, it's not invisible anymore. We make it invisible because it's something that is more linked to the opportunities than to the leads, so that's why it was invisible. But if I have an update, if I want to upgrade Odoo or whatever, this will be rewritten because Odoo does it. Odoo sometimes when you want to upgrade Odoo, we reinstall the module, and when we reinstall the module, we are going to go through all the XML files describing the views, and we are going to re-enter those in Odoo. And so if I go here on CRM and I upgrade, something that is done frequently on our SaaS databases without you knowing it, because we upgrade from versions to versions a lot through the different SaaS versions. And so here, what happens is that if I go back, if I refresh, no, I should lose my changes. Yeah. So it went back to what it was before. So maybe you have brought a lot of changes to your views, and you lost it all because there was an upgrade. Maybe an upgrade we were not aware of. So that's another question. But so this is something that could be happening. Okay. So it's really important to understand that I've been saying that once today. You shouldn't be changing the information that we offer. You shouldn't be changing the code of Odoo directly in the code of Odoo. So that's sometimes something that people don't do. But and I'm not a technical expert, not at all. But that's something that you should know, even not being a technical expert. Guys, I see there's no more question. Maybe you are all starting to eat, or it's already the end of the day for you. There's still 25 minutes to go, so I would be really happy to help you finding solutions for you. So please don't hesitate to comment, to add new questions to the feed. If there's no question, I will maybe spend some time describing the coupons way of working in Odoo. That's something that's quite new, so that would be nice to have a look at that. Or maybe spend a bit of time on new stuff in the master. I've seen when I was showing things for the payroll, I've seen interesting things. First of which is maybe what you have here on the employees. There is no, you see an organization chart, so that's a new widget we added. It's quite new. I think I don't have it in SaaS 15. Let's have a look at that. So that's one of the improvements we have. I'm not sure, but I think that's it. Yeah, but that's maybe also because I don't have any employees in my department. Let's try this. Do I have department administration? Good. And I will say that my manager is yes. Let's see that. And see that here. I'm really bad at telling jokes. I could be, but it's not that it's not the place. It's maybe not the time also. But maybe you can ask the next one. So we have, as you know, in 25 minutes, 23 now, we have Nicolas Saint-Lay, technical expert that will come here. He's really good at telling jokes. So you can ask him. He's a really good one. Maybe what I can do is for next session I could prepare some, but it's not easy, you know, telling jokes in a language that's not your own. It's not easy because you lack some way of telling something in a funny way. I will go back to new stuff in the master in a few seconds. I see there is a new question. I see if we implement our own module to replace some fields in the base view, how to make sure our module is executed last by Odoo when doing the upgrade. First thing is that there is a notion of dependence. How can you be sure? Let's not even talk about your own module, but how can you be sure that when you have different modules, one is executed or upgraded after another? That's something that you can find here. You have the information on GitHub or on your file system or even in Odoo, in fact. If you have a look at the technical side, I will keep this open to go back to it. If you have a look at the settings in developer mode, we can go into the apps and let's have a look at just thinking of sales something, we have yeah, event sale. That's good. Event sale, if you have a look at the technical data, it has dependencies, and so you can be sure that the event sales view would be installed after the event view and the sale view. Okay, so these dependencies will explain the order by which you should install different modules, and this can be found, in fact, on each module you define the dependencies you have. And so, for example, the account module has dependencies on, you see that here somewhere, depends on base setup, product analytic, report, and web planner. So, in fact, those depends. This information you have here is translated into the dependencies you have here. So, if I go to the event sale module, let's have a look at that. So, account manifest. Let's do the event sale here. You see that we have event sale, which is indeed the dependence we have here. So, simply defining the order of dependencies would help. And now, regarding the views, you also have a notion of, but then it's not a matter of which is written before which one, but which is rendered before which one. You have that notion here in the views. If you have a look at that, let's have a look at, I don't know if we have some that use different priorities, but you have a notion of sequence. That's with sequence, but we have something else. No, it's sequence now. I will look at is different that is not equal to 16, because I know it's the number we use by default. Yeah, we have some. And so, for example, here, let's take this one. Yeah, it's sequence 1 also. And I should say the one that are inherited. Extension views. Do we have some? 38. So that's good. The employee here, the Kanban view of the employee, which is an inherited view. You have a notion of sequence. Anyway, it's still 1, but I should maybe tell a bit more about that. So this view, the HR employee, is based on the HR employee Kanban view. And if this view, this parent view, has more than one inherited view, like this one, that's perfect, you see that there is a 1 and a 16. In fact, it means that when we are going to render the view, Odoo first has a look at this view, but then sees, okay, this view with the architecture we have here has inherited views, and it will load the inherited views according to their sequence. So we first try to render this, then we make changes to this view by adding this view number 1 here and then number 16. So this is not exactly the question you had, but also keep in mind that you have an order of, you have a sequence of action in the way we load the views, and we display them and we render that to the client. I hope this was yeah, all the questions, okay. Peter Hoff, I hope this was the answer to the questions. Gustavo Valverde, hi. Welcome. And then Panel Tire Wheelcaster Specialist, can you turn off the auto follower channel on sale order for employees and customers? No, well, yes and no. Let's say that, in fact, I say no because Odoo does it automatically for you, and it's embedded in the code, but there is a way you could do that. You could change this just after. In fact, the creation of a follower, let's show this. When you create a follower, here I'm a follower, you see that I'm the only one, AHU, that's me. The fact that I'm here, that's because there is a record in Odoo that is a follower. Let's have a look at that. You see it here. If I go in followers, in fact, all those records are people following a document. So here, for example, we are on a CRM lead, and the ID of the lead is 4. So let's have a look at this. The follower that we just pictured is here. CRM lead, yeah, we don't have it here. Filter on a related model CRM lead 4. So this, the one I'm selecting here, is the item I have here. That's the same record, okay? Let's look at that. Let's even go here, click on delete. Okay, I could delete it. So now I shouldn't have any follower here. I refresh Odoo. And so that's it, I have 0. And when you think about that, There is maybe another solution that is not prevent Odoo from creating it, but delete it as soon as Odoo creates it. So it's a bit weird because in fact it's not really good in terms of performance. It needs to be tested as well because sometimes we create a follower and then we send a message right away. So it needs to be carefully tested. But maybe one way of solving your point would be to each time you create a follower in some circumstances, you delete it. That can be done as well. And again, it would be through an automated action. You would go here. In automated action, you would go and create delete auto follower, and it's even on the record follower document follower here. I'm just checking it's correct. Yes, and here you can say on creation, and you just create execute Python code, and it will be record unlink. Well, if I do that, I will never have any follower because I'm not even filtering on the followers, but you could be having something like if record dot res model, something like that. I think we need to check, and I won't be playing with that. But is CRM lead? Oh, we can test it anyway. Let's try that. I don't know if it's res model. Let's look at okay, followers related document. Res model ID, it wouldn't have worked. That's funny, now I have an error. Should I, did I miss something? Lead. Yeah, of course. It's weird because it accepted this. No, not even. Sometimes you don't know why. Okay. Oh yeah, of course, twice equals. I think it was the parameter serum.lead. Not sure it will work, but let's try it. Okay. Let's try it here. Follower. I will add myself. No mail, please. Follower. Yeah, no, it's created and it's not removed automatically. Nope. I don't know if this kind of action can work, but is it crm.lead that way? I could have done that differently, in fact, in the domain instead. Domain and document domain. Ah, yeah, char. It's better that way. Is equal to. I think that's the way to do it. It's maybe better. Do we have that? Yeah. For 3 records, that's maybe better to do it that way. Let's try it again. Let's unfollow. Okay. And let's refollow. No, doesn't seem to work by deleting that way. So maybe we would have to rework that in the code itself. That's a pity because in fact sometimes you have followers that are added being the client or being the user mentioned. I think that automatically on the document that have a user ID, user underscore ID, we add the user ID automatically as well. For this one, I thought it would work. I'm a bit astonished, but well, apparently it's not working. So checking for the other questions. Either we just have started our partnership with Odoo. Yesterday, I have a few questions. Is this a good time? It depends. It's a good time. It's a good place, but we don't have much time left. So don't hesitate, Ram, to ask your question here. If you have questions regarding functional stuff of Odoo, yes, that's a good place. If it's technical, I would wait for 12 more minutes because we have my colleague Nicolas coming for the technical side of Odoo. And if it's related to sales stuff, then you should wait a bit more. I don't know when is the next sales session or the next session with a sales representative of Odoo. Otherwise, you can contact him, but I would be glad to answer your questions if those are functional. Then Gustavo, I'd like to see how to use the studio to pull the tag field from a contact. Add it to the invoice and then to the client invoice list view. I think you won't be able to do that through Studio. You will need to create a server action because you don't have that information. And the tags are not really easy to use because you need to know the syntax you have to use for the tags. You would need to, I'm just checking, tag field from contact, add it to the invoice and then to the client invoice list view. Add it to the invoice first. We can try to do that. Let's go on a new server action. Okay, and we are going to do this on the invoice, trigger condition on creation. I will stop there because I first need to create that tags, those tags on the invoice, and I'm not sure that is easy through the studio, as the many-to-many fields are not always easy to master. Let's go on the customer invoices. Let's go in the form view and see if I can add somewhere a new field that would be linking to, so it would be a many-to-many tags. We already have a tag here. Good. And say this time I would like to have the partner categories, partner tags. Good. Let's do it that way. Okay. Let's close and let's see. Okay, the partner tags here I don't have. I will click on tag 1, tag 2. Okay. Let's save this and see if those are well indeed the tags I have on my client. But I think that's the case. Where are those tags? Yeah, okay, that's the same stuff. That's good. It's really a good point. Let's now define on my invoice that when I'm creating an invoice, I'm going to select. Do we have the tags now? Partner tag on account invoice. Good. And you can see that here the name is REST partner category. Yeah, it was created by Studio. Yeah, the studio field is here. Okay, so what I would need to be doing is select the information. I will try it in two different ways. First, by a Python expression, and I don't know if this will work the following way. How could we do that when we I'm not sure of this syntax. I may have to change this later. I'm not sure this is correct. Let's try it. And I'm not even sure of the syntax of the name of the field on my customer. Is it category IDs? It's category ID. So you see I missed it. Let's try it this way. I'm not sure it will work, but we will see quickly. Let's create a new invoice for my client. There we have an error. It's telling me name invoice is not defined. Yeah. That's a bit weird. It's record, of course. But that's maybe not the only error. We'll go it. Yeah, so this is not working. I should maybe do it a bit differently by saying, okay, execute Python code instead, and say I'm always a bit struggling with these many-to-many relationships. Here we can try to that's the name of my field here. F9VBY. I think it's not always sure. Not sure either. Nope. Yes, that's good, working. So this is the syntax you could be using. So here you have it, at least on your invoice. You have the tag 1, tag 2, and then now showing it here. Let's see, because I don't know how the fields are rendered on the tree view when it's a many to many. So here it's maybe not super nice, but let's try this. So the name of my field was about the tags or categories. I'm not sure. I'm so lost with those. Or I can add directly. I will do something I would say you shouldn't be doing. As you know, I'm not going through an inherited view, but as we don't have much time left, I think it can be a bit more faster to show this at least. And let's see how it is. Yeah, current tags here you have tag 1, tag 2, so it's showing nice, except for the ones that they have the no record. So you see here you have 0 record. Of course, I haven't been doing that through an inherited view, so of course don't do it like that. But that's the way you could do it. I didn't find it partner tags in my studio. Maybe I'm just blind. Yeah, apparently I couldn't see it in the existing fields. Okay, so that's it. You have it here. So Gustavo Valverde, I guess that's what you wanted. I'm just checking quickly. Yeah, thanks for the help, by the way, for the others in the chat. Deepak, in 5 minutes we have somebody technical that will be helping you on the ATTRS of undefined, but apparently you are trying to access something on an object that doesn't exist or something like that. But again, Nicolas in 5 minutes will be replacing me and telling you how you can maybe solve this. Skywalker, hello, how can I manage product lifetime in Odoo? I know how to send email in automated action when product life expired. No, I want to see alerts in Odoo itself. Can you show me a live example? Yes, because if you can send a mail, you could create an alert in Odoo, but it depends on how you would see the alert. Is it when you try to use that product, so when you have a product field and you try to add it, you would like to see a pop-up, or is it more like a message on the product chatter? Because what you could have is here under products have something like yeah, there is a chatter. So if it was like having a message here, that would be possible. You have to create again. It seems to be the answer to lots of our problems today. It would be to create an automated action based on time condition, and you base this on a time. You base it on a time or a date field on your product, and then what you would be doing is create a new record. That new record would be a message, and then you have a mail message. And that mail message here, you could find, you could say that the content of the message is XYZ, and you would attach it to the product. And if you are a follower, you would receive a notification. That's a first way of doing that. The other one maybe is to make use, and here I won't be using this version anymore, is to make use of the activities. I will check if we have activities on our products. Not sure, in fact. No, we don't have. But I'm trying to explain that quite quickly. You know that you have activities and reminders. We have that on different products, on different objects in Odoo. You see that we have that on the lead and on opportunities, and I was thinking maybe we can add that functionality, that feature on the products themselves, so that you can yourself define an end date and receive a reminder on that product later. I can show you this on maybe the lead, and then once you see it on the lead, you will be doing that on the product, but it needs some coding, so maybe that's not better than the solution I was proposing. You see that here for some product we have, for some object we have log or schedule an activity, and here you could say, okay, to do, and you know that in 1 year from now it's going to be an old product, and you say here, deactivate product or something like that, of course, and you schedule it, and then you will get a reminder. Okay, and that's another way to do it, but I don't know if that's exactly how you manage that. But otherwise, the notion of I think automated action based on some products, so like a date on the product, and I think you would need to use also the notion that are brought by the PLM. That would be maybe helpful. I don't have a lot of knowledge about the PLM module. Is it possible to do it through this? Yeah, add dates. Yeah, you can have here on the PLM module. Let's say change in 2018. Type new product introduction, or maybe you should add a new type in the configuration here in the echo type. But let's imagine that it would be a type of product to remove. You set date, effective date. You do that, and do we have the ability to log or schedule an activity here eventually, or base your message to be sent here? But this usually the ECO, so the engineering change orders, are more related to change to bring to our product than end of lifetime, but maybe you could be doing that there as well. You see here, if you do that, you have end of life, and you could be here say, okay, end of life of this product at this date. That's a bit maybe too simple, but checking. I told you I was not good at telling jokes, but apparently some are really good at writing them on the YouTube chat. Michael von Heinitz, how to do match invoice item and stock moves, especially when returning stock purchase by product return. That seems a bit complicated to answer in the few minutes that are remaining. Michael von Heinitz, your last question would be really a bit more time consuming to answer. The next functional session is next Friday, same time. Otherwise, if you have a success pack, you can send us a mail. For the two last questions I have is, how can I select multiple products at a time in purchase order? You cannot. That's a bit rough, but in fact, you have to go here. No, I mean the invoicing. On the purchase side, at the moment, you have to select them one by one, or create import files, but that's not super easy. Depending on of your use case, maybe you will have other solutions. But multiple products, you don't have that. It's not as on the website where you can click I want that product, that product, that product. If that's your question, we don't have that for the purchase side. And then last question for today, Partners Tire Wheel Caster Specialist asking, can you auto invoice a dropship order when it is validated in the inventory module? Good question. Yes, you can do that, but it's a bit tricky because you would have to pay attention to what you are doing, especially like auto-validating an invoice or auto-creating an invoice is not super easy, except if it's just validating, creating it from actions that already exist in Odoo, like when you validate a purchase order or when you validate a sale order. But then you would need to be sure that the picking you are validating is using the dropship rule. So that's a bit it's not that easy, in fact, because you have lots of things to check, and you should also make use of the function existing in Odoo for creating the sale or purchase invoice. Yeah, I really appreciated the effort. Really nice joke. So guys, I think my colleague Nicolas will be coming very soon. From this time to next 3 hours, you will spend your time with him. He's really an expert in technical stuff on Odoo, so really don't hesitate to ask the questions that were a bit too technical for me, or any other question related to Odoo, of course. I hope you appreciated this session. We'll see you next week. It will be one of my colleagues. But well, I hope you enjoyed that. I will just have to put a small screen for 2 minutes. So in the meantime, my colleague is preparing himself for you for this afternoon. Well, see you guys.